I was incarcerated for many years, for just about 30 years. And I was serving a 60-year sentence.
He was sentenced to 60 years, buried by the system. But Sheim Perry didn't break. He transformed.
When the judge said, you sentenced to 60 years, I looked at him and I looked at my lawyer and I said to myself, they don't know who they talking to.
Right.
When I started seeing brothers younger than myself coming in with 70, 80, 100 years, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And it hit me, because even though I believe I was straight and I knew I was gonna fight for my freedom,
Right.
I knew that everybody wasn't built like that.
Right.
What began in survival became a mission for justice.
I made the decision that I was leaving everything alone. Everything that had to do with the game, I was done. Now, the thing is, and I always used to ask dudes this question, if you get out today or tomorrow, what you gonna do?
Right.
Inside the walls, he built something no prison could contain: purpose.
If not you, then who? I started my foundation from the Halfway House, my organization, Guided by Purpose. I started from the Halfway House. Right. And I got my podcast that I started, On the Courthouse Steps with Sheim Perry, which is another thing I started while I was in the Halfway House. Coming from a job, walking, back to the Halfway House, and came up with the ideal and started doing things. Then I started interviewing a few people here and there.
From prison cells to purpose-driven platforms, his voice echoes for the voiceless.
I have no restraints, only the restraints that I place on myself.
Exactly.
So
our common thing not only was fighting for our freedom together, but how we was gonna come and impact our community for the positive. Because of everything that we felt we have done negative. And we wholeheartedly believe that. And this is why we came home and we got to the work. And this is why you got a list of formerly incarcerated individual brothers that are out here and sisters that are out here and they doing the work because we stuck together when we was in our worst situation and we always told each other, look, when we get out, this is what we gonna do. Now, the blessing is that we kept our word, not only to ourselves, but to each other. That's why we sitting here today right now.
This isn't the face of a statistic. This is the face of resilience, of purpose, of a man who turned his sentence into a mission.
welcome to another episode of Locked Up and Locked Out. My guest co-host is Mr. Sheim Perry. Man, it seemed kind of formal saying that.
Yeah. Considering what we've been through,
yes.
You know.
Yes. Tell them a little about yourself and everything that the body of work that you're doing, man.
I was incarcerated for many years, for just about 30 years.
Wow.
And I was serving a 60-year sentence.
And that was about what?
What you mean, like the crimes?
Not getting into all particular, but just basically, was it, drugs or?
Oh, yeah. I was involved in the drug game heavy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to say I was there when crack began.
Right. Wow.
Because I go back to the 80s.
Right.
And, I've been involved in a lot of things. I'm originally from out of New York.
Okay.
And
New York?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island. I've been around.
Right, right.
And you know, through my journeys of chasing money and being involved in the game, I landed in Connecticut.
Okay, okay.
And you know, it was the same as usual. You know, out here in the street,
Right.
trying to survive like everybody else that was out there.
Right.
You know, and eventually that landed me in prison.
Right.
You know,
The prison.
You know, yeah, got into an incident where somebody passed away.
Unfortunately.
And unfortunately, yeah, you know, I could have passed away,
Right.
but you know, through the blessings of the Most High, He allowed me to live.
I mean.
So, but I still had to pay that price.
Yes. I mean, you know, we do feeble-minded things, you know, diving into the streets,
absolutely,
and things of that nature. A lot of things come, you know, are thrust upon us when we're living in that type of lifestyle.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's one of the pitfalls of living in that lifestyle.
Right, right.
You know, you could be here today, going tomorrow.
Right. We by no means are glorifying street life.
No, absolutely not. Just the opposite, because you know, that takes me to today.
Yeah.
You know, today I'm an advocate for justice. I fight for you know, for the rights of brothers and sisters that are incarcerated.
Right.
You know, I also go down to the legislature and I fight for, you know, certain rights that I believe that we deserve when they come through as a bill or whatever, you know.
So that's amazing, because to pivot, to stop midstream of, you know, the multiple years that was served.
Right.
You didn't come home bitter, angry because you was placed there. I mean, you had to do what you know how to do, or whatever the situation may be with that. But to come home and be an advocate for injustice all across the spectrum, women, whatever, you know, men all together, and then how does the family structure look before transitioning? How do putting your life back on the track after so many years, and then just coming home, trying to resubmerge yourself in the fabric of society, and the standards that society has, versus what Mr. Perry have. You know what I'm saying? You know, because you know things can get murky. My back is up against the wall. It's time. It's go time.
Right.
You know, and that's what we know.
Right.
But now it's a different type of go.
Right.
Like, how does that form? How does that transitioning take place in your life?
Well, it took place behind the wall first.
Right.
You know, I always, you know, even when I talk to young people today, you know as yourself when I used to talk to you when we was inside, that I always said that if you don't want to change, you're not gonna change.
That's one thing.
You know, when I was in the game, because it was out of survival.
Right.
You know, I started the game very young.
Right.
And, you know, taking care of myself, living on my own, right? And when I was incarcerated, it was like a weight was lifted off of me,
Right.
which a lot of people don't understand, but I try to explain it to them. You know, you hear the term, people say you're so deep in the game you can't get out.
Right.
You know, I was in that situation because I had a lot of people that worked for me that they was take care of their families.
Right.
You know.
So you had a business.
Yes.
Before it was popular.
Yes, it definitely was a business.
Right.
You know, and it was from here to New York. And, you know, I travel other places in between, but that was my main thing.
Right.
So when I got incarcerated, that was lifted from me.
Yeah.
Because that was taken away from me.
Right.
So I made the decision that I was leaving everything alone. Everything that had to do with the game, I was done.
The people?
People, everybody. If you had something to do with the game,
Right.
I didn't want anything to do with it.
So you no longer utilize their numbers?
No. I allowed people that wanted to reach out to me.
Right.
And, you know,
Right.
see how I was doing.
Right.
But I didn't pursue people. I didn't reach out. I didn't try to reconnect. I didn't try to get people to hold me down. None of that.
Right.
You know, I started in prison from scratch.
So was it a point in time where you felt, okay, I'm behind this wall, man. You know, it's just like the streets.
Yeah.
Behind them walls.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to be.
Oh yeah,
you
my
can
first
be.
couple of years, when I came in the door, I didn't come in the door and say, "Oh, I'm on the change."
Right. Okay.
I came in the door, I was up to the same nonsense.
Right.
I would say for about the first 5 years.
Okay. What was the brick wall that you hit?
The brick
As they
wall,
say, you know,
yeah,
being in
the
that
brick
you
wall.
hit a brick wall for those
yeah,
that
I
don't
hit
know.
the brick wall. The brick wall that I hit, and I tell people this all the time. I had 60 years.
Right.
Regardless if I was fighting for my innocence,
Right.
if people believe I was guilty, regardless of whatever the circumstance may have been, I had to hold that 60 years.
Right.
When the judge said, you sentenced to 60 years, I looked at him and I looked at my lawyer and I said to myself, they don't know who they talking to.
Right.
I'm not doing 60 years.
Right.
He don't know me.
Right.
Because had he knew me, he'd have been like, 60 ain't enough for him.
Yeah.
Because he gonna come from underneath that.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
But what happened was, the change and defining moment was when I started seeing brothers younger than myself coming in with 70, 80, 100 years. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And it hit me, because even though I believe I was straight and I knew I was gonna fight for my freedom, I knew that everybody wasn't built like that.
Right.
But because of who I am, you know, I always say,
For the listening audience,
yeah,
what do built like that mean?
I mean, able to survive whatever circumstances come my way.
Right.
You know, if I'm breathing, I'm good.
Right. You got another day to fight.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, because that's my belief in the Most High.
Yeah.
Because I believe when He says it's over, it's over. But I also believe that He gives you the tools to work through things.
Right.
It's your responsibility to use those tools.
Right. Now, were you in a state of anger or bitterness or resentful that the state did what they did? Like, where was the anger, you know what I'm saying, placed at?
It was that when I would talk to these young brothers and I would ask them, you know, like, well, they would come, you know, and ask for help.
Right.
And I would say, okay, well, do you have this, you have that, or whatever.
Right.
And they not knowing what I was talking about.
Right.
Not understanding what they was actually in jail for.
Right.
You know, and, you know, I never been the academic smartest brothers, but I always surround myself with people smart like that.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That's where the brother Scott come in at. He's one of the high educated brothers. You know, my brother, you know, Brian Love Jordan, who is the president of my foundation, would talk about that. But he's one of the smart ones, you know. So it's always, I always surrounded myself with people like that.
Right. So my question is, being able to say, this is not something that I can accept.
Right.
Something has to be done.
Right.
And the change has to start with me first. So
Absolutely.
when these brothers look at me, they see something different.
Absolutely.
And that's the hard thing to do, being who you were, the stigma that was placed on you from the streets.
Right.
How does that transition
But I
take
say
place?
that and brothers inside, they got to know me for who I am.
Right.
The person that I
Right.
am.
Right.
When I was in the street, that was the person I could become.
Right. Me and you
That
even,
was, right.
you know what I'm saying? Not so much bumped heads, but had a discussion.
Right, right.
Know what I mean? We
right,
had,
right, right.
and
Over differences of the street.
Right.
Right.
And then, you know what I'm saying, once I came to know you, the individual, versus, you know what I'm saying, the name,
Right.
man, I'm like, man, this dude is great. He's a great dude, man.
And that's why
he stand up.
And that's why I say that, you know, in prison, brothers got to know me for the man that I am.
Right.
Not for what they heard about. You know, whatever people wanted to try to say, whoever I was. You know, I never fed into that.
Right.
You know, because I always say, listen, it was business, never personal.
Right. True indeed.
Only time I had a personal problem with somebody when they did something to somebody who I cared about.
Right.
If it wasn't nothing.
Right.
You know,
water.
If we out here, this is what we doing.
Just keep it moving.
But when I was inside and I seen these young brothers coming in, I was like, yo, this is crazy.
Right.
I said, how? These brothers not even old enough to commit enough crime to deserve that much time.
Right.
How do you give a brother 17, 18, 100 years, 200 years of life?
Right.
You haven't been on the earth long enough.
Life.
Natural life.
Right.
Like my brother Jamal.
Right.
He was one of the youngest brothers to get natural life.
Old.
16, 17 years old.
Right.
Come on. So I said, listen, if you don't do something, how you expect somebody else to do something?
So that brings me to the point of this episode right here is the road of redemption.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's powerful. You know, when you just hear them words, you know, roll off your tongue.
Right.
For me, it is.
Yeah, for me too, definitely.
Because we know personally a lot of people that's affected by decisions that they may have made, and then the decision of the state.
Yes, definitely.
To, you know what I'm saying, just wipe the slate sort of clean. It's like, yo, you're done. Right. You don't have no redeemable qualities.
Yeah.
Your life is forfeit.
That's what the judge told me.
Right.
He was like, I don't see no change. And
right. So, like, now, all the work, like you said, women empowerment, court steps, and your personal program that you are implementing.
Well, what I have is Guided by Purpose initiative.
What does that?
This is a re-entry type of organization, but we do more than re-entry.
Okay.
You know, I try to mentor. I try to fight for you know, justice in the community. You know, for the underserved communities. You know, I also try to connect with the women that are incarcerated because I believe that they're underserved.
Absolutely.
And I believe that, you know, if one of my slogans of, you know, Guided by Purpose is, if not you, then who?
True indeed.
You know, so it starts with me first.
Yes.
This is where the rehabilitation and the redemption come in at, because if I can't get myself together, how can I help somebody else get together? You know, and I had many years to work on that. And I
full-time job.
Right, it was a full-time job.
Yeah.
Not only fighting for my freedom, but also educating myself.
Right.
You know, I was one of the older students in my GED class.
Right.
And the young people that was there, they respected that. Because they like, oh, gee, what you getting a GED for now? And you trying to, I said, listen, because this needed.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I left high school in 11th grade.
Right.
Because I had to take care of myself. And it wasn't no time for school.
Right.
You know, that was when I got kicked out, showed the door. You know, my Duke says, enough of this nonsense. You got to either straighten up or get out.
Right.
I chose to get out. So that was the first thing that I did when I got incarcerated, was signed up to get my GED.
Right.
And then from there, I started doing different kind of academics, vocals, all that, because another thing that I had to do was to get job ready.
Right.
Because I had no job skills.
Right.
I have never worked.
Which set of skills am I coming?
Right. So what do I bring to the table? If I go to an employer rather, and I say, you know, I'm on the job, they're gonna say, what can you do?
Right.
At the time,
I can't do nothing.
I can't do nothing.
Right.
You know, I didn't have no paper to say nothing that I was a sales rep, because that's what I knew how to do.
Right.
But I didn't have nothing to say that, yo, he's a certified sales rep. This dude could sell, you know, water to ice. You know, but I didn't have none of that.
Right.
So this was one of the things that I put into motion. And as I started acquiring these vocational skills, I also said, okay, now the thing is, and I always used to ask dudes this question, if you get out today or tomorrow, what you gonna do?
Right. They couldn't answer that question.
A lot of them couldn't answer it. See, but that question also went to myself.
Absolutely. First. Right.
Because I knew that everything else was behind me.
I think many times it's lost in the source, as we say, self-tutoring or self-awareness.
Right.
You know, it's not a given that you automatically come home and just fall in line of doing the right things for the right reasons. These are taught, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Things that we've acquired, knowing that things that I did yesteryear are not conducive to how I'm going to conduct myself today.
Right.
You can't hold me with that same hat. I'm not going to allow you to.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And that's a testament to your strength. Just saying like, yo, listen, I have no restraints, only the restraints that I place on myself.
Exactly.
So there's a sentiment why we break the chains, you know what I'm saying, of yesteryear.
I never let nobody else define who I am.
True indeed.
You know, if it would have been like that, I wouldn't have survived what I survived.
Absolutely not.
You know, and I've been through a lot of things.
Right.
I've been through so much that, you know, people would be like, they would just shake their head and be like, yo, how did you do that?
I'm going to give up now.
You know, I'm going to lay down now.
Yeah.
You know, even when, before I was incarcerated, I was on the run for nearly 2 years.
Right.
And it was times then I had run-ins with the law trying to lock me up, and I had my brushes with them.
Right.
And it was times then after I came up out of those situations that I was like, man, just turn yourself in, man.
Right.
And fight it from there.
Right.
But my heart wouldn't let me do it. It said, nah.
What would be the one thing that you would tell younger Sheim today?
Never go on the run. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Right.
I would tell him immediately, go Get you a lawyer
Yeah.
and go to court.
Right.
Go, whatever
Handle
it is, go face it.
Right.
That, man.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, that was a whole nother thing.
So now, understanding the law, then getting back to people that turned their back on you. How did that feel? Like, how was that feeling?
Well, in a way, in some sense, it was a relief.
Right.
Because it made my work easier to get away from them.
Right.
That's the thing that when you get incarcerated, you learn who your true people is. I'm not gonna say friends, I'm not gonna say family, your people.
Right.
People that's for you.
Right.
That really, really believe in you or have love for you.
Right.
And that don't come with them coming to visit you all the time, them writing you all the time, them, having you call them. It comes with the consistency of them trying to see where you at.
Right.
See, a lot of people, they get incarcerated and they believe that, oh, this person ain't send me no money, this person didn't do this for me, I called this person, I was chasing this person down, and then they, they get frustrated and they believe, oh, this person, they don't care about me, whatever.
Right.
People got lives to live out here.
Absolutely.
Their life don't stop because you go to prison.
No. And mine came harder.
Right. So I understand that. And by me understanding that, it was easy for me to say, all right, I'm glad that person is not messing with me no more.
Right.
But those that was consistent over the years down the line, and when I mean consistency, you gotta understand how much time that I did.
Right.
So my consistency is 5 years here,
right,
3 years here, you know what I'm saying? And goes over time.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So then when you get that news that I'm coming home,
right,
it only is gonna go to those certain people. Everybody else will find out.
Right.
But you contact those certain people because you've been in contact with them over the years and they've been checking on you. So now you finally got that good news to tell them that, yo, I'm coming home.
They want that information.
Right, because this is what they always wanted for all them years that they have been in contact with you. Like I said, whether it was, you know, you might have lost contact with them, say 5 years, 3 years, or whatever. Because they living their life, they doing their thing. But they always manage to come back and say, yo, how you doing? What's going on? What's up with your case? Whatever.
Right.
Right? So now you say, okay, these are the ones that truly care about me, because after 10 years go by, 15 years go by, 20 years go by, and these people are still doing that.
Right.
You need anything? You want anything? You good? Can I talk to somebody? And you know, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. They don't know what you're doing behind the wall.
Right.
They don't know that you in the library consistently.
Right.
They don't know that you go to court consistently, because you're not even telling them about the courts, because you know how the courts is now. You know that's an up and down
They'll
thing.
douse you.
You know? I've been to 3 habeas and was about to go to my 4th one before they released me.
Right.
You know? They released me a month before I was going to go to trial.
That's astonishing. Like, how did you wrap your mind around the fact that after beating down so many doors and asking people to come on board with helping you find some type of resolution where you're getting your life back, and one day they say, Mr. Perry, you leaving? Yeah,
I mean, you know, that the funny thing, I was telling your producer this, I was like, you know, I got a couple of lawyer friends, you know, and one of my close friends, James Mortimer, was my attorney. He's been my attorney for many years, right? So when he came on board, from what he learned about me and what he learned about my case, he was 100% in my corner.
Right.
Even to today, we good friends today. We talk to each other all the time. We do whatever. He checks on me, I checks on him, everything. You know, that's my man. Right. So he was working on my case, and you know, he was my lawyer going to represent me in my trial that I told you was coming up, right? So this trial was coming up in September 2022.
Okay.
Right? So a couple of months before that, another attorney, James Top, right? Another attorney, Mr. Tops, right? He said, okay, listen, I think you're a candidate for this commutation thing. Right. So I said, okay, I'll talk it over with my attorney, see what's going on, whatever, because me and him had built a relationship, you know what I'm saying?
Now, what they call that you went for?
Commutation.
So, what is that like? Give me a rundown on how that
commutation
all works.
Well, commutation is sort of like you getting a time served.
Okay.
But it's stipulations, and it's a lot of paperwork you have to do, because you have to basically show them that not only that you were rehabilitated, but that you also have been doing a lot to try to get not only yourself together, but you're no longer a threat to society or anybody else.
So it's the state that runs this department?
Yes, parole pardons.
Okay.
Yeah. They was in charge of this. So it's, you know, in legal, being incarcerated, brothers, what I call the legal beagles, the prison, we always look down on it because they wasn't giving it to anybody.
Right.
They wasn't giving it to anybody. You know, brothers knew about it, a few brothers that were deep in the law, they knew about it, but nobody never really filed for it, because the people that did file for it, they always got denied, always got shot down.
Right.
You know,
so it's a long shot.
It was a long shot, right. But these attorneys was fighting for the rights of brothers like myself to receive these commutations, basically telling the parole and partners that, listen, you got this on the table, but you're not giving it to anybody. You got hundreds of candidates that qualify for this, but you're not giving it up, you know? So I filed for it, and these attorneys, they got together, and we put together the paperwork and everything.
So these attorneys specialize in this particular field?
No, they specialize in just criminal law.
Okay.
Yes, criminal law across the board. You know? And they thought that I would be a good candidate because of all the work that I was doing inside the prison.
Right.
You know, they heard about how I would be in the mentor programs and how I talk to brothers like yourself and other brothers that were coming in and trying to, you know, do the right thing and trying to help brothers turn their lives around, encouraging young brothers to go to college and stuff like that, because they were smart. You know, the young brothers I would come across that were real sharp, I would push them hard to go to college.
What you doing?
Yeah, what you doing? You wasting your time with these knuckleheads. You already got time. You want more time? You know, that makes no sense to get more time while you behind the wall. When you're supposed to be trying to get out.
It was an evil place.
Yes, we know that. But some people, you know, they get involved in, you know, a lot of things that's gonna result in you getting more time. You know, so I used to encourage them to get out of that life, to get away from that, because they was too sharp. You know, but that was only a few. It wasn't for everybody, because you get to see that when you're in a block with, you know, 75, 100 men, you know, you get to know people. And when you start seeing these young brothers that are real sharp, and you know that they have that academic in them,
you push it.
I push them. So what I would do is they would go to college, go to these classes, then when they would come back to the block, I grab them, sit them down, say, yo, all right, tell me what you learned today.
Right.
You know, feed the OG something. Give me something.
Yeah.
Give me something to think about or something, whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they would do it. You know, they were like, yo, I got to do this paper, I learned this or whatever, I got to do this report or, you know.
Because to your point, one of the young brothers I love to death is my little brother. He was doing the Yale program.
Right.
He got me into Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, and all them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow. I couldn't even get into this, wrap my head around it in school.
Right.
But this brother got me, you know, so interested to whereas I'm picking up these books.
Right.
And I'm stripping them, you know, and I'm like, wow, okay, so they piggyback off of one another.
Yeah, that's because we know how to communicate amongst ourselves. We speak different, we act different, we absorb knowledge different.
Right.
Now, if I got a young brother who, you know, they respect me for who I am, for whatever I was doing, I could take that, I could live with that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's gonna give me the opportunity to get to them.
Right, absolutely.
You know? Because they have that certain respect for me and they say, yo, this is the OG, this is so-and-so, whatever. You know, I don't necessarily accept it from older people because they was out there with me. You know what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the younger ones,
that's where it counted.
Right, because now, if that's gonna grab your attention, that, yo, this is OG so-and-so and such and such, then, all right, boom.
But, you know, just because you have age difference on them younger brothers, they're not necessarily going to respect you.
Right.
They respect you because you not only respect them, but your movements are totally different from everybody else.
And
you
they
ain't trying to run around with the young boys. You ain't, you know, it's like anything, you gonna come over to me. And we're gonna deal with each other on that type of level.
And that's the way it was, because if you're not sharp enough to approach me, then I'm good with you, because I'm not chasing that. I did that. I know with all that, you can't tell me nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm good. You know, now if you see me in the block and other people telling you, yo, that's so-and-so, he did X, Y, Z, though, he got mad time and, you know, he know whatever. Now you like, okay, but he don't move like that.
Right. I mean, it's something to be said for a person that understand, like, I cannot keep going about life in the manner in which I was living. I have to transition in order to make it, because at the end of the day, what am I pushing the envelope on getting home for? If I'm not willing to change what ate or gave people that care less about your life than you cared about it, to whereas you're going to go do the same thing.
This is why I came home, I got a job.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Day one.
Listen, I got a job so fast when I was at the halfway house. They couldn't believe. Like, they let me out a couple of days. I came back with a job. They was like, hold up, how you get a job so fast? Because I went out looking for a job. Then the job that I had, I didn't have all my proper identification, IDs and all that. They gave me a chance. But they gave me a chance up to a certain point. I was still not able to secure all that. That's a whole nother story with the state. But they had to let me go. So they let me go, and before I got back to the halfway house, I found another job. I called the halfway house, told them, listen, they let me go from this job because of this reason. They said, okay, cool, come back to the house. I said, okay, boom. I went, found another job before I came back to the house. So they was like, yo, how'd you get another job that fast? I said, because I already got a list of places that I wanted to check out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So this was one of the jobs that was on the list. You know, and then I started my foundation from the Halfway House, my organization, Guided by Purpose. I started from the Halfway House.
Right. People don't do stuff like that, man. I mean, it's a rare. People do it, but it's a rarity.
Yeah.
To whereas it's special in the sense that we've been counted out.
Yeah.
We're not the people that's expected to do these type of things.
Exactly. Just like you with the podcast, and then I got my podcast that I started, On the Courthouse Steps with Sheim Perry, which is another thing I started while I was in the Halfway House.
Right.
I started doing self-interviews.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Coming from a job, walking,
right,
back to the Halfway House, and came up with the ideal and started doing things. Then I started interviewing a few people here and there.
Right.
And, you know, by the end of the day, I wound up having like 3 or 4 things on the plate before I even left the Halfway House.
Right. Right. That's deep, because we want to show all different aspects, not the glossy side, not the flashy side,
Right.
you know.
It ain't nothing glossy about the street.
But the mechanics of how like important it is to do the work, put the work in there, and honestly stay with it, stick with it, because the things that we're doing in our communities, the awareness that we're trying to bring about and change and mindsets is very important. And we need more people like you, Scott, Natural, you know, Brother Gangs, you know, and the list goes on. You know what I mean? And there's many people on the federal that was not in state courts and in jails that was in the federal courts. Listen, I mean, we're a community of people that is not only changing our communities and in towns that we come from, in the cities, that we're in a unique situation to whereas we're getting policies changed.
Right.
People are listening to us to whereas we're being effective. And even I had a distinguished guest, Mr. O'Shea, and I talked about that there is some good prosecutors.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You have good all over the spectrum. I mean, and you know, you get back like, prosecutors are garbage.
Nah,
you know,
they doing their job. Remember we talked about this the other week.
Right. So,
they doing their job. Now, if you
ain't doing your job, then you can't get mad. You know
exactly.
What I'm saying? You have, you know what I'm saying, a duty, a civic duty to yourself, a civic duty to the community abroad, to let them know, like, yo, listen, this is not what it is. This is what happened. And if 9 times out of 10 we don't have the community, the band of community activists to come around us when times are bad or things of that nature. But now that the tides are turning, we have people that look like us, people that's for us in these positions now, to whereas it's a possible, you know what I'm saying, that things can change. And the look is different, that you're not just, you know, a no man's island. I mean, that you're an island when you're standing alone. You're gonna have a band of brothers, you know what I'm saying?
That came from us.
Yeah.
Like you said, these names that you ran off, we all was together.
Absolutely.
We all was behind that wall.
You know who was about what.
And we stuck together with that glue. That glue
that was
of not only our common thing not only was fighting for our freedom together, but how we was gonna come and impact our community for the positive.
Right.
Because of everything that we felt we have done negative.
Right.
And we wholeheartedly believe that. And this is why we came home and we got to the work.
Yes.
And this is why you got a list of formerly incarcerated individual brothers that are out here and sisters that are out here and they doing the work because we stuck together when we was in our worst situation and we always told each other, look, when we get out, this is what we gonna do. Now, the blessing is that we kept our word. Not only to ourselves, but to each other. That's why we sitting here today right now.
I mean, yo.
We could have been right now, the way we talking the same way how when we was sitting in the cell talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we were cellies and we sat in the cell for them years and we would sit down and we would be building, talking about what we had to do, how we wanted to do things and whatever. Now look, we sitting where we
outlined it.
Yeah.
On how we want our life to be.
Exactly.
Enriched.
Exactly.
It's just not, enough to say, oh, we sitting back kicking a bunch of nonsense about what we used to do, how we used to live.
That's
that was never about nothing.
Yeah, that's irrelevant.
That was a minor blemish in our life that not to be forgotten, but to be moved across in the sense that we're better individuals for understanding that our life is more enriched by moving forward and understanding the greatness that's in us. You know what I'm saying?
You got people out here struggling, and we're out here trying to set an example for them. Not only that you don't have to struggle, but it could be done. It could be done because you have the stigma that, once you did time, you come home, it's gonna be hard for you. You can't get a job, you can't do this, you can't. Nah. You put that on yourself. Because I always tell people, listen, if you put that same hustle that you put out in whatever you was doing, whatever you was doing before, you put that same hustle into being right,
you're gonna win.
Being exact, you're gonna win. Nobody can't stop you. Nobody can't say, no, you can't do it because, I'm sorry, you was incarcerated for so many years. We're not gonna, what you mean? Okay, then I can't do that with you. I'm gonna go over here.
It's a whole...
And talk to a person that's more open-minded, whatever, that's gonna give me that shot. Because when they give me that shot...
I know what to do with it.
You think I don't?
I'm not going to disappoint.
I'm a hustler.
Not going to disappoint myself.
I know how to get out there and I know how to work.
Absolutely.
Right now, when I go to work and they tell me, you need to do this, you need to do that, and I tell them, I came here to work. I might not want to do certain things that is required for me to do, but when I punched in to work.
It's a means to an end, and it's a vehicle that's going to get you where you need to be.
Exactly.
It's like to have the numbers that we had on our back and come out, I can never say unscathed.
No. It's definitely
conditioned.
You
know what I'm saying? Because it was, you know what I'm saying, hard work getting to the mentality that I have to be the best that I can be moving forward.
Listen, I went to a therapy session.
Absolutely.
I've talked to the therapist a few times. When I came home.
It's needed.
When I came home.
Needed,
And people laugh about it. They said, what you mean when you came home? I said, when I was inside, I
fed into it.
That's what I had to do. The therapy wasn't gonna help me inside. People think it do. No. I needed the therapy for the outside because now I'm so separated from society for so many years. Not only do I have to reacclimate into society, but now I got to see how I personally, what you were saying, you know what I'm saying, the law of getting back into this and doing that. You got to talk to somebody that's going to tell you that, listen, there's better ways, there's other ways, different ways. This is how it do. The therapy sessions that, comes from these people with the education.
Yes.
On how the psyche works.
Yeah.
See, so, I mean, I did it.
Yeah.
But I did it when I came home.
I say it all the time, like, yo, like, that's one of the biggest things that we need, coming home, and really wanting to be the best people that we can be moving forward, because you don't know what your trigger is.
Right.
I personally didn't know, what can, be the actual thing that blow me up and I blow myself up.
Right.
Because you have landmines that
and this is where the therapy come in at, because now you could pinpoint those things.
Your triggers.
Right. And you could say, okay, I know to stay away from this and stay away from that.
Yeah.
And boom, how this is gonna affect me.
Because, not to cut you off, it can be a situation where, okay, I know I can't drink.
Right.
I know I can't smoke.
Right.
Because that can send me into a spiral, to whereas I release all the anger that I got.
Right.
And utilize that as the scapegoat.
Right.
I gotta be accountable. I gotta be here and now in the presence. You know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you something real quick, right?
Yeah.
We talk about the triggers, right? Now, when I got released from the halfway house, I went into was like a type of parole house, you know what I'm saying, where you live on your own or whatever. So now, I went through the process of getting here. So the thing I was praying on, I said, listen, man, let me land in a nice area. I know I ain't gonna land in the best of areas, but just a nice area, because I didn't want to be around the street stuff.
Right.
I was like, if I could just go to a nice area where none of this is going on, it's gonna help me.
Right.
Man, the Most High said, nah, you gotta deal with it.
Right.
You done dealt with all this, you gotta deal with it. He dropped me right smack dead in the middle of the bomb. Right where it was all happening at.
Right.
Now, I gotta go to work every day, I gotta live every day, I gotta go to the store, I'm right there.
Right.
And then, the ironic part is, I'm in a whole different town, whole different place, and I know people that's out there.
Yeah.
So when they see me, yo, what's up, fam, blah, 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 I'm like, oh, man. I'm like, yo, this is, this is what I didn't want. And but I said, okay, if this is what it is, this is what it is, because I have to face this.
Right.
You
didn't give yourself credit enough.
Right. For the work that I did on myself. Right.
That work that you did for preparation on your day to exit that world to this world.
Right. And that's why I got dropped. Stop in the middle.
Right. You got this.
And said, you got this.
Yeah.
Now, get yourself away from that and stay on the path that you...
Because you see it.
Oh, yeah.
You see the carnage. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing more daunting to see a person that you seen 30 years earlier, 30 years later, doing the same thing.
Oh, man. That hurts.
Like, it's a gut check.
Yeah.
And is eye-opening.
Exactly, and then they're not doing good.
No.
That's the thing.
No.
You like, yo, like, you still doing this and you still look bad, you still struggling, you still, what you doing?
Wow.
You look terrible.
Right.
What you doing? And I'm like, okay. If that ain't a wake-up call, then ain't nothing gonna be.
Ain't nothing gonna be, right. Listen, man, I love the bill, and being able to sit down with you. We just scratched the surface. This ain't
you
know what I'm saying? It's like, I really would love to have you again, because there's some places we need to go, man. And this is where, you know what I'm saying, we
Told you,
wanna
brother,
have
we're
the
gonna have to put
discussions,
together
man.
the documentary or the mini-series or something, man, because
man.
everybody always, you know how it is. Dudes always questioning me, always, how was it here, how was it here, how'd you do, and I'm like,
you've seen a lot of things, man, you know what I'm saying? And, we seen a lot of things and been through a lot of things. And this is a blessed place, man, and it's inclusive for everybody, man.
Yes.
Just to come on home, man, and let loose, man. This has been another episode of Locked Up and Locked Out. Listen, man, I love y'all and live and love life.
Absolutely. Blessings, brother.
Blessings, bro.